For the next 30 days I will be doing push-ups every day using different exercises to maximize my body's potential. This is not just a physical challenge, it's a journey to strengthen my power, endurance and determination. Ready to see what the human body is capable of? It's been a year since I completed my previous challenge, during which I did push-ups for 30 days straight. It's time to repeat this challenge, as I've lost some of my fitness and need to get back in shape. I'll be doing max reps to compare results at the end of the month. Let's go! But then I started doing push-ups and felt a little uncomfortable, so I decided to postpone it until tomorrow. The next morning I decided to take on the challenge again. Once more it was tough, as it had been a while since I'd exercised. A year ago my starting point was 60 reps, this time I managed only 40. It seems that using a narrow grip this time, unlike last time when it was wider, might have contributed to it. Or maybe I'm just weak. Well, it doesn't matter that much. I'll still assess my progress after 30 days in the same position. I hope that in 30 days I will show good results. By the way, how my body will change I will show at the end of the video. Since my body muscles were a bit sore, I did 10 push-ups per approach and ended up doing 100 push-ups today. Of course, I would like to have a perfect, well-defined body, but I understand that achieving significant results in a short time is not realistic. My goal is simply to get back to my previous physical shape so I can feel better and more confident. Moreover, if I happen to walk down a dark alley at night and some hooligans approach me, I'll be able to stand my ground by demonstrating a few push-ups. They'll understand that I'm not weak and it's better not to mess with me. The second day was no different from the first, and I did 100 push-ups. I incorporated various grips to warm up all muscle groups, because my aim isn't just to do push-ups every day for 30 days. I plan to introduce additional exercises to increase the challenge. The next day I realized that in order to maintain discipline, I decided to create a table in which I would track how many push-ups I did. After that I went outdoors and did a short workout. Although it was a bit cold, I managed. Also, today I did 120 push-ups, more than in previous days. From the very beginning I noticed a pleasant change. I have more energy now. Constant movement keeps me energized and significantly distracts me from the routine. Since by the fourth day my muscles were no longer sore, I decided to gradually increase the difficulty and add new exercises. I incorporated push-ups on fists because simply doing regular push-ups for the whole month becomes monotonous, and it's necessary to diversify workouts, thereby training different muscle groups. I don't set high goals for push-ups because quantity isn't as important as quality. I decided to do as many push-ups daily as I have the strength for without overexerting myself. Upon waking up, I did some push-ups, had breakfast, and if anyone asks what that food is called, it's called Burma, means meat baked in dough. After completing the planned work, I went for a walk, as it helps to refresh and breathe in the fresh air. Usually when I go out for a walk I dress very warmly, because it's constantly cold outside due to the rain. Today is very hot. But today it seems I didn't dress as warmly, and the sun was shining very brightly, making me feel extremely hot. It was uncomfortable, especially when I was exercising in such weather. I started sweating heavily. After doing some push-ups, I walked a little more and then headed home. On the sixth day, I decided to do repetitions of push-ups with various grips, standard, narrow, wide, as well as on fists. I paid special attention to making my movements slow and precise. This required more effort but was expected to yield greater results. I aimed for each movement to be controlled and accurate. I particularly noticed that doing push-ups with a narrow grip and on fists required special concentration and effort. Apparently my muscles are not yet developed enough for such loads. Therefore, for the next 5 days I decided to continue doing push-up workouts. Each new day I will perform different exercises to focus the main load on one muscle group while providing the others with a slight rest. Push-ups are a versatile exercise that activates various muscle groups. The main target areas include the chest, deltoid muscle, and triceps. By varying the grip and the angle of the body, you can effectively target different muscle groups. On the 7th day, I decided to start with the most challenging exercise for myself, narrow grip push-ups. This exercise is aimed at training the triceps and can contribute to increasing arm strength and size. Narrow grip push-ups are more difficult than standard ones and require more effort and energy, but I managed to do 150 push-ups. And yes, for dinner today I had delicious rice, which I love very much. Very hot. A week later, when the muscle pain subsided, I felt that my hands had become stronger. It's not only visually noticeable, but also palpable. I began to feel strength in them. On the 8th day, I was doing wide grip push-ups and thought it would be easier than narrow grip ones. However, after a few sets, I realized it wasn't as simple. Because of the wide hand placement, my wrist started to ache, but I carefully continued with the exercises. Wide grip push-ups target the chest muscles. For dinner, I had a new type of rice porridge and salad. And doing push-ups, especially in the mornings and without warming up, leads to pain in the wrists. That's why I try to stretch periodically, but not always. That was my mistake. as performing any physical exercise without warming up increases the risk of injury. Do warm-ups and everything will be fine. The following day, I opted to commence my training outdoors. The entire day was dedicated to performing push-ups on my fists. This exercise not only strengthens the wrist joints, but also toughens the striking surfaces of the knuckles. However, executing push-ups on a solid surface proved uncomfortable due to the pain, while on a softer surface, the discomfort was less intense. By the way, I set a record today and was able to do 200 push-ups in one day. On the 10th day of my morning, I enjoyed pancakes with jam, which turned out to be incredibly tasty. Then I suddenly got the idea to try doing one-arm push-ups all day long. But after the first attempt, I realized that one push-up a day would not help me achieve my goals in any way. So I decided to replace this idea with push-ups on my feet on an elevated platform. Taking a box I found on hand, I started my workout using it as a footrest. Turns out it's not as easy as I thought it would be. After that, I went outside and used the steps as a footrest. The good thing is that you can adjust the difficulty by putting your feet on different levels. This exercise targets the upper chest muscles and helps to enlarge and strengthen that area. In addition, I felt a strain on my shoulders. I want to share a life hack with you on how to do more push-ups per set using a psychological trick. Instead of counting from 1 to 50, count 5 times by 10. It really helps. The next day, I dedicated myself entirely to standard push-ups. Today it's raining a little, but that's not a problem for me. Starting my morning with this workout, I began to feel progress. During the morning session, I managed to complete 120 push-ups. Perhaps I could have done more, but I have a lot of tasks planned for the day, so I decided to conserve my energy for them. If anything, I don't get kicked out of the kitchen, I just like to eat and watch videos in my room. On the 12th day, I continued doing push-ups, using different grips like in the first days to target various muscle groups. Perhaps because I'm doing push-ups every day, it's not entirely ideal, since muscles need rest. But there is no other way since it's a 30-day challenge. The most important thing is nutrition and good sleep. As you may have noticed, I'm not following a strict diet, and I don't really need to, but I try not to consume particularly unhealthy food. Good sleep is also important. So far I don't have any issues with that. I particularly like push-ups because of their accessibility. I can do them almost anywhere without any special equipment. This exercise is perfect for anyone wanting to start working out. Begin with simple and effective exercises like push-ups, squats, pull-ups, and so on. You don't need to go to the gym to be in good shape. Regular bodyweight workouts can give excellent results. If you find it hard to stay motivated, join our Telegram channel. Once we reach a certain number of subscribers, I'll start a challenge where we'll train together. The 13th day became a day for cycling trips. In such pleasant weather, I didn't want to stay at home but aimed to go for a walk. Taking my bike, I headed out of town into the embrace of nature. Birds chirped, the air was so fresh and the sun was so warm. During my travels, I didn't miss the opportunity to exercise. Even though I wasn't dressed particularly warmly, I still felt hot. Seeing people passing by, I noticed their surprised looks. Perhaps they were thinking, why is he working out right here in the middle of the field? But for me it wasn't so important. I was creating content and everything happening around me became part of my creativity. The next day after breakfast I did push-ups. Under the sun I did a few more push-ups. When I returned home I remembered that I had 2 kilograms dumbbells. I thought about what would happen if I added weight to my push-ups. I decided to give it a try, but the dumbbell was lying uncomfortably. So I took a briefcase and put one dumbbell in it. I tried to do push-ups. Even with such a small weight I still felt the load and push-ups became more difficult. Therefore I decided to leave it as it is, and in a few days I will add another 2 kilograms. The 15th day started for me with a series of push-ups with extra weight. The first 8 resets were done with determination, then I switched to push-ups with just my body weight. And guess what? Today marks the official halfway point of the challenge. It's astonishing to realize how quickly time flies. It feels like I just started yesterday and already 15 days have passed. It's a good thing I decided to take on this challenge. Just imagine if I hadn't taken that first step. I'd be just counting the days and regretting the missed opportunity. So, if you have the desire to start something new, don't hesitate with doubts. Take action and you'll definitely succeed. At times I entertained the idea of giving up as difficulties arose every few days. That I tried not to mention any videos so as not to come across as whining. I understand that it's my own choice and I must follow through with what I've set out to do. First and foremost to be honest with myself. The next day started with me deciding to add some extra weight by taking a second dumbbell. The total weight increased by 4 kilograms and I must say it feels quite different already. I did some morning exercises focusing on various muscle groups. However, the push-ups with feet on the chair turned out to be extremely challenging. Later in the day I did push-ups without the extra weight. Going out for a bike ride in the evening, I grabbed my briefcase and did an outdoor workout. The atmosphere was very pleasant. I guess the camera doesn't capture that. On the 17th day, I decided to spend the day doing push-ups with additional weights. It all started well. In the morning I did several exercises, but by the evening I started doing push-ups with excessive zeal. And I started feeling unwell. I had dinner and went to rest. As a result, I was only able to complete 150 repetitions. Waking up the next morning, I felt unwell. After doing only 10 push-ups, I realized that it would be better to skip today's workout because continuing could only worsen my condition. On the 19th day, I already felt better and decided to continue the challenge, but without the additional weight. It's also raining today. I tried to do everything carefully and not overexert myself to avoid repeating the previous situation. In the morning I did a small number of push-ups and then exercised outdoors. As a result, I caught a slight cold, but I hope that everything will be fine tomorrow. Today is the 20th day, and to celebrate I decided to take a walk in a large park that I found on Google Maps. The weather was great, although it got a bit cloudy towards the end. I did a small workout to make it more interesting for you to watch. I did push-ups in front of a tower and a beautiful tree. I think that deserves a like. I walked around a bit more and then went home. It looks like I'm back on track, although I got a slight cold. I'm managing to do more than 200 push-ups a day, and I think that's cool. On the 21st day, I decided to increase my physical load. In the morning I had a workout, after which I tried to do push-ups with clubs behind my back, but I couldn't manage it. Throughout the day, since I didn't have many tasks, I tried to train more. As a result, I managed to set a personal record of 300 push-ups. Perhaps I could have achieved this earlier, but I didn't have the opportunity. I had breakfast, or rather lunch, since I don't really like having breakfast. After that I started training intensely because I didn't want to slow down. I aim to maintain my pace and do around 300 push-ups a day. I mostly focused on the standard grip like on the first day, wanting to show a respectable result and the end of the challenge as the end is near. Another benefit I've noticed is discipline. Now I can't afford to skip workouts except for legitimate reasons. This routine has developed a habit in me and I hope it will be useful in other areas of my life. On the 23rd day I was busy all day and didn't leave the house. On top of that we had guests at home, so I couldn't spend much time doing push-ups, but I managed to do 250 repetitions. This morning I woke up with a severe headache. After taking a pill I felt better, but I still couldn't do many push-ups. On the 25th day I had breakfast and did push-ups. Then I tried a natural energy drink, which turned out to be insanely sour. After that I continued my workout with renewed energy. The last 5 days of the experiment went quite smoothly. I was occupied with my own activities, working out, doing push-ups, mowing the lawn, editing videos. I tried not to overexert myself since there wasn't much time for that. I focused on what brings me pleasure, because why do something I don't like? Thus those days passed, and on the 30th day I did the final push-ups. Well, I gave myself a day off and now it's time to sum up the results. I was very anxious before starting the push-up challenge. As I promised at the beginning, I will do push-ups in the same position, although it's not very comfortable on a soft surface. After warming up, I proceeded with the push-ups. Initially it was easy for me, but naturally it became more difficult as I went on. During the final push-up set, I didn't count the repetitions, aiming to do as many as I could, since having a numerical limit in mind might restrict me. By the way, I didn't mention that I didn't track the number of repetitions initially. I count them only after watching the video footage. In the end, giving it my all, I managed to do a total of 54 push-ups. I consider this a good result. There can be many nuances, but I believe I completed this challenge successfully. I didn't measure my weight or muscle volume, I just took a video snapshot of my body before and after. I have to say my body became slightly more defined. I won't say there were drastic changes, but the muscles became more prominent. Oh, and I almost forgot, I did a total of 5200 push-ups for the month. Be sure to write in the comments what you think of the video and share your push-up experiences. And now I'm off to shoot new videos. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.